Okay, good evening or good morning, wherever you are. Dear friends and colleagues, peace be upon you. We have an interesting guest with us today, as usual. This is a very day-to-day or essential need for us, the training this coach provide. She is an expert coach in many emotional affects human face day to day, especially females, our sisters go through many of the emotional situations in their lives. So I would let Ms. Cordelia Gaffar to introduce herself. Please go ahead, introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Brother Rashid, for having me on your show today. Um, so I am an emotional wellness coach. I help women so that they can face their darkest and most difficult emotions and still do all the things that they need to do to show up powerfully for their children, for their families, and in their careers. I'm an accomplished writer and speaker, and actually have just published my seventh book today called Detached Love, Transforming Your Heart so that you can transform your mind. And we'll talk about that deeply today with the process that I've created called Replenish Me. And I have to say, even with all my accolades and my awards, I've received an award for top or finalist for top influencer, best podcast host of 2019. I've been inducted into the Global Female Literary Library, and a peace ambassador. I've been selected as a peace ambassador. I'm a Goodwill Global Ambassador. I'm a sponsor, and I advocate for the girl child globally and nationally. And but my biggest brag is that I have 6 beautiful children who I've homeschooled for the past 16 years.
Excellent. Those are very, very impressive background you have. We will explore, some of your expertise in different, interviews. However, today's topic, today's time would be allocating your journey to Islam. So based on our conversation, you are a new revert to Islam. So my first question I have is, what is your background and how did you come to Islam?
Right. So historically, my family is Anglican, and my great-grandfather came to this country from Barbados as an Anglican priest and founded several churches um, from Kentucky, Virginia, all the way through New York. The biggest church and biggest legacy is there in New York and Harlem. And I guess it was after a spiritual journey. I lost both my parents in consecutive years in my mid-20s. I was seeking the truth, and I started researching Islam. And like when you actually, it's a funny story because I went and prostrated, and I asked God to show me the right way to worship for me. And I started meeting Muslims, you know, and so eventually I read the Quran and got to know Muslims from many different countries, mostly Bangladesh and Senegal, and then I chose to become Muslim, not immediately, but so like 2 months before September 11th, actually.
Oh, that's fascinating. Especially you mentioned you have prostrated prior to receiving the shahada or testimony to become a Muslim. That's really interesting. So the next question is, what has changed the most since choosing Islam as your way of life?
Um, my life has just gotten better because, I was already studying like herbal medicine and things like that, but then I found like a full tradition of holistic lifestyle in Islam. I've learned, I've found a great community with sisters, and, for my children, I don't think I would have had 6 children if I hadn't become Muslim, mashallah. So, um, I would say those are the highlights, right? So I live a healthier life, a happier life. I feel more deeply connected to my creator. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Oh, that's fantastic to know. Many humans, struggle to find peace, and I think what you are sharing, it is very beneficial to those individuals to look around and see what's out there. Thank you very much for sharing. Next question: tell me about your new book, which you mentioned earlier in the introduction, "Detached Love." That's a very impressive or attractive name.
Yeah, and the great thing about that name is it implies, well, people may not catch this immediately, but it's really about detaching from serving humans, right? So like we're always caught up on our relationships based on whether or not someone likes us, they love us, they receive us, and now with the whole social media thing, it's even worse, right? But
Mhm.
the whole concept here is detaching from what's expected and accepted and allowing yourself to be. And when you allow yourself to be, you'll transform your heart because, the spiritual opening will happen, and the connection to the divine is seamless, and all the things that you thought that you wanted, they'll just come to you, right? Because you'll be true to yourself for the first time.
That's very interesting to know, and we look forward probably reading your book and hopefully understand the facts and the scenarios you have articulated in your book. That's very beneficial for individuals. Thank you very much for sharing that. And also we have noticed that you seems like to have a brand like Replenish Me or like Emotions Opener. So the question I have is, how did you start your work with women as the emotions opener, and tell us more about Replenish Me, which is a trademark for you.
Yeah. So I started my work with women quite simply from being like a community coordinator, at my masjid and with homeschooling stuff, and just seeing women always being swallowed whole by motherhood and by doing for their communities all the time. And, they would often ask me, how is it that you're able to always be so joyful and so energetic? And I would try to tell them, and then they would say, that's really a lot. Put it in a book. So I wrote a book, and it's behind me, The Workout Around My Day, the only health guide that moms need. So this was, and I started doing workshops to show them how to create a sustainable system of self-nurturing. And so over the past 5 years of working with women, I've distilled it down into a 4-step process that I've trademarked, and I've called it Replenish Me, which that name I took from my original podcast name. So, and Replenish Me, like I said, is just a 4-step process. And it is also discussed in my Detached Love book more deeply and more on a scientific level and all those things. But, very succinctly, I'll just tell you it's, release, right, from what's expected and accepted. And then you restructure by finding what are your own personal values and creating habits to support that. And then you refresh, and that's whatever you've now enforced for yourself and your own self-discipline. You are you're really enforcing those boundaries with other people. And then you're allowing whatever purpose that Allah has put in you for you to rebirth and actually walk in that purpose.
Oh, that's super. Many women's out there, they are looking forward probably, to those kind of opening, ideas and situation in their life. So when women's sisters come, they have some expectations. You probably have your mission, vision, and strategies as part of your program. So what is the biggest benefit for women working with you? What will they get?
Yeah, so they will get to learn how to create joy in every moment of their day, as opposed to seeing their day as a weight. They will get to actually have tools to reframe their mindset and their vocabulary in the moment. as Muslims, alhamdulillah, we have dua and everything, but duas, if they don't touch the heart, they're pretty much just more words coming out of your mouth. But if you're intentional with your vocabulary and your choice and the meaning behind it, these are the things that women really gain in working with me. And then of course, on the scientific level, right, there are the things that we do and the life that we've created is a muscle memory in our body. So we do some physical movement as well to restructure that muscle memory. Yeah.
And that seems very helpful, both physically and intellectually and mentally, is prepare, our sisters to, perform their day-to-day and, other tasks they are assigned to do. So that's fantastic. And the last question I have, you mentioned that you have 6 children, God bless them. And also you have mentioned you were doing homeschooling with them. So keeping 6 children at home, I mean, how do you do that? I mean, some people would be struggling to keep 2 children at home and doing homeschooling.
Well, I mean, I've been doing it for 16 years, right? So essentially it's my career, yeah?
Mhm.
Um, and so I take it really seriously. And the great thing about having 6 kids, it's almost like having a football team, isn't it? So,
Yes.
right, and most of them have played soccer, so they learn how to work together and help each other
Uh-huh.
more. And to be fair, like my oldest is 20 and my youngest is 6, so it's not like I have babies. So yeah, that's the easiest part. I also say, it's because of them that I do, because of creating the curriculum. 16 years ago, we couldn't just click into a virtual school, right?
Mhm.
So I had to research and create those curriculums. So I learned about emotional wellness and how it's related to receiving and achieving and being successful academically. And then I learned about the different learning styles, right?
Mhm.
So just mixing it up and honoring everybody's learning style and teaching love and respect.
Well, that's very fantastic to know that you are able to do that, and you are able to adjust different types of generational and technological change is into your instruction providing or managing the homeschooling. So I really appreciate and hope our audience would be benefit from your knowledge, and we look forward to do more sessions, especially for the females and sisters, separately. So thank you very much for your time, and we really appreciate and we really pray for you so that you are more successful in what you're doing in your future endeavors as well. God bless you. Thank you,
Amen.
expert coach Cordelia Gaffar.
Thank you.